birthday, the office will be closed along with select title. If you need anything, I will be local, just call me. But this is also important because if you need something with Real Comp 2, they're going to be closed as well, and we'll get to that. But if you need anything, I will be around, just call me. I will do my best to get you through if it's technology based, and we'll figure it out. Legal, I can do all day long. All right, reminder of the May birthday still coming up. We have got Bonnie Lane, Don Vaughn, Sarah McMahon, Marshall Nations, and Teresa Edwards. So happy early birthday to everybody, and happy previous birthday to everybody we celebrated last week. We have a ton of May babies. It was a busy time. So.
Write that last one down, Mr. Edwards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't forget that one, the 31st.
He would never.
He wouldn't.
Put it on your phone. Give yourself an alert.
I have an alarm clock. It's called 3 seconds.
Of course. All right. So happy birthday. Hawk Hollow, just a reminder, the golf outing, if anybody's interested, I think we can still get you in there. June 17th, we have one team. We'd love to have 2 teams if other people are interested. I know, Joe, you're out for that one because you're having some stuff, so you usually go to this one, but...
No, I'm getting my shoulder fixed. I won't be able to...
No on that one. Okay.
What is it?
June 17th, so I think it's right after you have it done.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be here at work and
You're right.
I'll be in a sling.
Got it. So no golf for you.
Well, your game will probably be better.
Oh! He's writing your name down, Tom. So the Remax of Michigan Golf Outing at Hawk Hollow. It's a great time. It sells out every year. Please let us know if you'd like to join. We will help you make arrangements. All right. Real Our favorite topic right now, first we'll hit a scam that was recently posted, and they're all pretty familiar. However, we have to keep reminding you because they continuously happen. An agent received a call from someone looking to sell land in Detroit. Being aware that this is a common scam, she asked the caller how long he had owned the property, and he told her the exact number of months and years, which she thought was odd. Like he was ready for that question, imagine that. She told him she had to research it and call him back. He texted her his number and email. Then she looked up the owner's name on Fast People Search and called the number associated with it and received a call back from the actual owner who said he had no plans to sell the land and he had not contacted anybody about it. This is a common denominator. We hear this often. It does happen in our area as well as Detroit and all around Metro. We are not immune to it. We actually just did some research on one that we thought was a scam 2 weeks ago. We had an agent who showed a property out in the Jackson area, and while the agent, it was a $38,000 property. While the agent was showing the property, a woman pulled up in the driveway and said, "Why are you here? This house isn't for sale." Who put the for sale sign in the yard? So that prompted phone calls to me and some more phone calls, and we called the listing agent and we called this. Thankfully that one turned out to be legitimate. It was in probate currently, and the woman who arrived, the mother had been deceased for about 3 years, if I remember correctly. It was about 3 years, and it was tied up in probate, and one of the daughters did not want the home sold, so it was a whole ordeal. However, it was being sold properly. Probate had given the permission. The person who was the signer was indeed a probate attorney that represented people. I was able to research all of that and confirm with the listing agent. Please call if you're concerned. I'm happy to do that research. I consult Bill, we consult people, we call listing agents, we look up in Google names, we figure out if it's really a true attorney. We'll go as far to call the attorney and see if they indeed are involved with the file. This is such a common issue. Do not be afraid to call or embarrassed if it's not potentially a scam. We don't want you getting 3/4 of the way through or to a closing table if it's preventable and it's actually fraudulent. Okay? We are happy to do this. I am happy to take the time to do it. Is it time consuming? Yes, but it's worth every moment. versus having an extremely unhappy experience for people and something accidentally fraudulently sold, because it still happens. Bill, how often are you guys hearing about it, seeing about it still?
Kind of what I'm going to talk about later too, is we have another one that's very similar to what you just described. So.
Perfect, so we'll wait for that one. But please do not hesitate to pick up the phone if anything is strange. That is work well worth doing and time well spent, okay? Because that buyer went on to write an offer once we did figure out that it was actually legitimate. But I'll tell you, every spidey sense was like, man, I don't know about this one. This doesn't sound good. And it turned out to be thankfully okay, all right? All right, so Real Comp will also be closed on Monday. What does that mean for you guys? Obviously no support on Monday. But Sky Slope goes active, fully active in 2 days. All right, day and a half truly. So that change is coming. So just be prepared in the event you have things planned. Try to plan ahead. I don't anticipate major issues with this system transfer to Sky Slope from Remine. However, with the help desk being closed, there's not much that can be done. They will be open Sunday, which is wonderful. They're open Sunday from 11 to 6. So please prepare for that being closed on Monday if you need to do documents in the new system.
Well, Remine isn't going away.
It's not yet, but we're being opened to it. So if you're using it, just know if you need help or you're playing with it, they're not there, okay? Remine will still be there.
So why even put yourself in that position?
Just do what you
Unless
need to
you're already using
do.
it.
Some people are trying they're waiting for the docs to be
Are we
opened
not
up.
going away for sure?
It
No, I'm
is,
saying it's not going away yet.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
there's a transition period. Just be prepared for it if you have system clunking.
Okay.
Because there's only so much I can do on the back end if you need some help, okay? So please, please, if you've got stuff, be prepared to at least make sure you can do what you need to do, all right? Miss Lisa, has anybody been setting their appointments? I sure hope so, right? Hands up in the air. She is here to help you. Joe graciously provides that. That service is wonderful and it's great for your accountability, your mind, your business, your lifestyle, whatever it may be. Please make your appointments. Miss Tanya, you're up. Come on down.
Good morning.
You have some beautiful news to share.
Few little things to talk about.
Happy belated birthday, Chris. Woo, Chris's birthday was yesterday.
First of all, Chris is modeling me some red tires.
I want that purple.
You can have one. So with United Wholesale, they partner and help me defray the cost of getting sweatshirts and shirts. So I get them at a little bit of a discount. So I have some purple sweatshirts and some pretty green or teal colored, whatever color shirts. So Chris has a pile there. So if anybody's interested, I'm happy to share those so you can help me advertise. It'd be awesome. A few things. One is, don't forget June 1st is the deadline for people to file their homestead exemption. So it might be a good time to reach out to people to remind them to make sure they've done that. So it affects their summer tax bill. So anybody who's purchased, that's good timing for another reason to reach out anyways. I received a notification from Hamburg Township. Did anybody else receive it regarding flood insurance? It's a generic letter, so it didn't go out just to me. I don't have a home in Hamburg Township. But it came out to alert people that flood determinations are not always accurate. And what they're saying is, when I do a loan or when anybody does a loan, there's a resource that provides this flood zone determination to see if people need flood insurance. We know there's a lot in the Hamburg area that require it. There's people in Dearborn by the river, and there's people all over Genesee County by the lake. So flood insurance is required if you're in a specific flood zone. So Hamburg Township's saying that they are finding people are purchasing homes not requiring flood insurance, and within the first year of them owning the home, they're getting notification that they actually are in a flood zone. So they're saying that these companies that are putting together flood verifications are not always accurate. So the reason they bring that to our attention is for two reasons. One, if you're going to go to build a property, or if your clients are going to go build a property, Hamburg Township's now going to be requiring in certain areas for people to get elevation certificates before they can build. They're also recommending to those in the industry, a lender and realtor, to talk to people about it if they're near the lakes, that there may be a time in their life that they would need to have flood insurance because it is costly and it is an additional cost to people. So keep that in mind. I have the letter, and maybe what I'll do is I'll copy it and put it in everybody's mailbox, so you can have all of the details if you'd like to share that with your clients or past clients or proposed clients, because I think it's good information to know. I thought it was pretty interesting because I have never heard of anybody finding out. It's not that the flood zones have changed, it's just that their original flood determination certificate came back saying not in a flood zone. They were. So there you go. I did have a property in Hamburg Township years and years and years ago, and they said we were in a flood zone, and I found out my neighbors weren't paying flood insurance. I'm like, well, how are you not? And I am. I mean, your houses are, I could spit into your bathroom if I wanted to from our house. So we ended up having an elevation certificate and doing the letter of map amendment, the LOMA. It cost us about $1,500, but we did get removed from the flood zone, so we saved ourselves a lot in that flood insurance. Flood insurance usually costs $1,000, $1,500, depending on the value of your home. Also, depending if you insure your contents of your home. Most people want to insure contents, so it makes it more costly, but you do not have to. I have a house in Florida. We don't insure our contents. I'm required to have flood insurance because we're right at the ocean, but I don't insure my contents because I figure, well, what do I have down there? Nothing really that important. It's just kind of a flop beach house anyway. So things to consider, expenses. Chris and I were at United Wholesale last week for one of their annual meetings, and one of the things that we were talking about with an account executive just at lunch is everybody complaining about interest rates. And us in the room primarily know, that 7% interest rate is not an astronomical interest rate. What is astronomical is what people are paying in property taxes. What is astronomical is what people are paying in association dues. Association dues in complexes, association dues in subdivisions. I looked up for a client yesterday, and I'm really bad at real comp because I'm not the expert you guys are, but I looked up because this gal said she was looking for condos, and I thought, okay, I want to be accurate in giving her a proposed idea of what payments may be if she's moving from house to condo. So I looked up condos, $375 condo. Taxes were $6,000. It was not in the city, and the association dues were $465. So if we're at $1,100 before we even talk about the mortgage, let's talk about what the real expenses are. It's not simply interest rates. So again, the education piece of all the aspects that we look at when financing or purchasing a property. And then I just wanted to share one thing. Can I use that board for a second?
Absolutely.
With every client I have, I look at, I'm sorry, what?
Purple.
I look and see what the taxes are on the home today, and then I use the website, the Michigan Property Tax Estimator website, to see what it proposed would be. I think probably most of you use that as well, right? Okay, so so often, and I explain to people, if the house is an investment property, I always hear people say, well, it's non-homestead for this seller, so it's going to come down 40%. Well, that's generally inaccurate because the assessed value is going to go up. So your taxes really aren't going down. Your assessed value is coming up. So you might get the homestead, but your taxes are not coming down. Let's be real. How often are taxes coming down? Very slim. So what I talk to people about is, if your taxes are only $2,000 this year, because Mr. Seller has owned the house since 2000, your taxes are going up to about $6,000. So what does that mean to you? And people will assume, okay, well, they're $2,000 now. What does that equal per month? 166 maybe? I don't know. I'm just kind of doing that off my head. Maybe that's not great math. Or adjusting, is it going to go to $500 a month? Well, think about this though, and I tell people, save money for your taxes. Because if we're putting an escrow right now, by law, we have to follow what the taxes are today, $200 a month, and we accumulate $2,400 in the year, and the tax bills come in, so they do an annual escrow analysis, and then your tax bills come in, and your tax bills have been $6,000. The bank essentially has covered you $3,600, right? Because you're short $3,600. So if you don't have the money to pay this $3,600, which 90% of people do not pay that shortage, their payment has to go up $300 a month for that next year to cover what they owe the bank. Plus it needs to go up $300 a month because now taxes are at $600. So their payment would adjust $600. So it's huge adjustments, and it's a conversation I have with every single solitary buyer that I work with. And it's something to consider because no, your payments might not just adjust $200 a month, they might adjust double if you have not saved money to pay that shortage. So preparing our people to make these adjustments. I am surprised how many people I have talked to who want to move because of their taxes and insurance being so expensive, and their association dues, that's another thing too. And this is a conversation for us to have. That's all I got for you. Any questions? Yes?
So when I look at properties, I'm always nervous about flood insurance, so I always look at the FEMA. Remind it tells you the FEMA status. Is that a good thing
It
to
could
do,
be,
or is
yeah.
that what's the most accurate
Well,
way to find
it's hard
out?
to say. I mean, I always suggest to people they can contact the township and see what the township has on record. So like my house that I had in Hamburg 10 years ago, they have on record my letter of map amendment. So they will have on record whether an area is in the area of, not necessarily that property, every square inch of that property, because you have a lot of postage stamp properties. But they will tell you if that's a general area for flood zones. That gives you an idea. But foolproof,
I guess-
you're not going to know unless you have an elevation certificate.
Well, I got taken a class, Carol Grove, and that's what she's recommended.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would use any resources you have, but I think
Can
with
people confirm
anything,
that? I guess.
I think with anything you want to tell people though, just like with property taxes, I tell people, hey, I've used the Michigan Property Tax Estimator website. I give them the website. I can use it just like they can. This is what this is telling me, but for any concrete information, I would go to your township. I just hate to tell people things that I don't want to tell them that I am the expert. I want to tell them I have resources, and this is what my resources tell me, but you're also welcome to check your resources. When we do a mortgage, not until that mortgage is in place does a flood certificate get pulled, because it costs money. So we just don't, and actually it's our lenders, not even us, that pull them, but they just don't arbitrarily just go pulling them on every address we want to provide them. But yeah, I mean, that's probably your best source, or the township, and obviously leading your
Yeah,
borrowers.
I think I've taken that course 3 or 4 times, but it's always FEMA. Like that's where you're.
Well, FEMA's that's who regulates the whole
Yeah.
flood nonsense anyways. And I say nonsense because some areas I think are not, I truly believe where my home in Florida is, it makes sense to have flood insurance. Rising waters is your flood insurance, not rainwaters or storm waters. But I think that some areas, it makes sense to have that coverage. Some areas seems kind of silly if there's, you can look in records or ask townships about if there's ever been floods. Like, I really don't know that Hamburg Township has ever had a flood disaster, with the exception of Orlake one time maybe. Anybody remember? I think, Tom, I'm looking at you because I'm thinking you've been around as long as I've been around.
Or
So.
Lake's flooded a couple times.
Yeah.
Different time of water.
So anyways, just food for thought with taxes, flood insurance, escrows, all the stuff that spins in my head every day and everything.
All the things that cost people money.
Yep.
Unexpected dollars.
Anybody interested in a sweatshirt or shirt, we'll have them, and then otherwise come see us upstairs after the meeting.
Thank you, that's fun. Get some swag. Appreciate all your work. All right. Rebecca, happy to have you. You have anything you want to dabble into?
I just want to, since Sky Slope is becoming fully available to you guys very soon, I wanted to kind of give you a chance to see a little bit of it. Really, the only thing I want to make sure that you guys know if you are going to come in here and start using it is when you come into each of these files, so this is going to be, you're creating a new transaction. So within each transaction, you'll have all your documents that you need right here. If you access them here and make changes and save it, what that's actually going to do is create a new envelope, which is just to the right of where those forms are. So when you come into your current transaction, right, you're on this page, you really want to go over to your envelopes and edit your documents within the envelope, and then save and exit. Because then you're not going to be creating a new one every time you try to edit a document. So just so you know, if you click on it here and make changes and save it, you're going to be creating a whole new envelope with that edited document into it. Whereas if you edit it right here in the envelope, then it stays as the one envelope. Okay? That's my only little tidbit on not having a headache from day one. Yes.
I was talking with another agent, and she was frustrated with that. She said that there's just like, it's envelope.
Yes.
So that's why, so
Okay.
that's where to prevent that.
And you can delete the old ones if you need to, or rename them. But really, if you're trying to edit a document and you're doing it from the forms page here, you're going to end up with so many envelopes that you don't know what's what.
Now,
Yes.
last week, we didn't have our Remax forms in when I was in it, do we now?
No.
Not yet. The 22nd is when all of the brokerage forms are able to be accessed.
L
And we'll
cars
have
are there
packages
now.
within those forms?
We have to package them we have to access and package them.
Okay. So that will probably be
Meaning
us
us
individually.
They're not
We'll do it as a
gonna be
we'll do it
already-
as a company like we traditionally have,
Okay.
but then you'll have to break down and make your own packages if you want your personal.
But that won't be till Thursday.
We don't
Okay.
have access to
Okay.
it.
So I have a new thing coming in. I actually put it together, but now it didn't get signed.
Right.
For reasons, so I have it coming in at the end of this week. And I have another one, an appointment to come, to put one in on the 30th. So I should be using these guys.
I would encourage,
Transition, I love
I would encourage trying to use it and see. Remind, we'll still be here to be through the transition, so keep that in mind. We still will have full access to Remind through the transition.
I-
We're going to have to play with it. We're going to have to be patient with it. This is a new system. We have to create our packages still. There's only so much we have been able to actually access and do, and that's actually been a very small amount. The most that we've really been able to do with the system thus far is submit the forms as a brokerage level of what we needed, but we can access the other forms that are already built in that they've allowed access to.
So
We've
one
had our
that I-
stuff there.
So the one that's been signed today, or will be signed tomorrow that I created that in Remind, I can just leave it. and-
I wouldn't, just make sure you download whatever you get.
Make sure you print it.
Print
And
it,
then the
just
one on
for,
the 30th, the one on the 30th, if you think I should go ahead and try to create it.
if we find that the system is doing what it should be doing, I would, but until that day hits and we see kind of what's going on.
Go back up.
And part of it is gonna depend on which forms you wanna use.
Right.
For example, I don't use a lot of the Remax forms personally, I use the Michigan Realtor forms,
I
the
use a
L
lot
forms.
more, I use our standard stuff, agencies and all that.
Yeah, so I
So you
use all
can
of those
create
so
your own
far over
templates.
there.
Yes,
So before you start using it, why don't you know, go into templates and start making those, once all the forms are available, because then you can say the Remax purchase agreement, the L-CAR, FHA addendum, and you can make all your own templates for purchasing and for listings.
right. So you can get ahead of some of this, you just can't fill it in yet and completely.
Yeah, not
depending.
everything you need is there
Right,
yet, except
right.
L-CAR is there, GMAR is there, Michigan is there, but just waiting on the brokerage ones.
No brokerage forms are
Right, so
accessible.
don't start creating templates
Is
yet.
there a way that I could download it on my computer, a form from Remind, like our brokerage one, and then upload it into this?
Yes.
I could do it that way.
Yeah, when you
And not
create a
have to
template,
wait.
you can
But
add a
then you're
doc,
probably gonna
but
have to
then
add
it's not
text
editable.
boxes. Oh, okay, I don't want to do it.
Remind's the same way, if you upload a
Yeah, I
document.
know. Yeah, so I was just thinking if I could
It's not
scoot
like
around it.
We have a transition period, so
It's-
don't be
It's
panicking.
not ripe yet.
Right, it's not quite ready to go full speed ahead yet,
If you do it
because,
that way, it's a PDF, and so.
yes, don't go doing things that you'll have to redo. Let's put it that way, okay? So just kind of sit back for a moment. The Remind is still up and working. They are under new ownership. It is working. It is working.
There are a lot of libraries of forms already up there.
Yeah.
So if you use the Michigan Realtors forms, if you use L-CAR forms, if you use GMAR forms, any of those are already there and available for you, including the Realcom forms.
So that's good.
What-
So they are all,
Right. What I don't know
Entire
is
field up
if
there.
they're there for us already, or do each of us need to go in and add them to our
each need to
library?
go in and add your libraries.
Okay.
Yes, you will have to create your
Don't do
libraries.
it yet till the Remax
Yes.
forms are up.
Yes, we're just getting you prepared to get ready, okay? There's no panic in this. There is no, oh no, it's going to be okay. We have so many systems with our forms uploaded in there between Dotloop, Remind, whatever you've created yourself, and then hey, guess what? Pen and paper, we have packages still,
Well, that's what we
okay?
needed.
We're going to be okay.
It's not gonna work.
So there's no need to panic. There's no need to do anything. Joe?
Only thing I want to add to that, I've only been back 3 days, and I've already got 2 problem deals I'm working with, where people just didn't read the damn form. They just didn't read it. It's from another broker. And, we're talking about 2 or 3 different forms that we're going to use here. Oh, I use these forms, I use those forms. Some of them are creating their own forms. The problem I'm seeing is mostly over occupancy and layover. But what happens if they don't move? Is there any prepayment penalty in there, or are there extra charges? Or you gotta go through the eviction process, through the courts for 6 months? You know, look at these purchase agreements a little bit. And occupancies seem to be getting really weak because, and my opinion on occupancy is getting weak, is people are using these inspection clauses as not inspection clauses. In the good old days, we had it, and I fought the board on this, but they didn't listen to me, I'm just a dumbass. I just said, we had it where, look, you're buying our house and I got a good strong deposit, get an inspection, there's something wrong, the seller will fix it. Seller's gonna fix it to Livingston County standards, and you're buying this house or you're losing your deposit. People are using these as backup clauses.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, strictly backup clauses. I had an inspection and there's problems with it, and the seller says they'll fix it, but I don't want it anyway. I can back out for any reason whatsoever that I want to, no matter what. What didn't you
The
just
reason that's
have?
happening is there's very weak agents out there, and they start their conversation that way versus starting it the way that you used to. We're going to an inspection, this is not to nitpick, this is to find out if there's health and safety concerns. But there are agents that start their conversations, Joe.
Well,
They say,
don't worry,
you can get out of it,
Yes.
don't worry.
Don't worry about it. But, so if it's your listing, we're a strong listing office as compared to other companies. We do a lot of listing compared in the marketplace. So if it's your listing, you're controlling that offer. You know, you get a hot product and you get a good offer on it. It's up to you to read the damn thing. Well, I just never read that is what I'm getting. Read it and say, no. Want to sell you the house, want to put it together. This is not a backup clause. You know, we're going to change some language here. Just take that extra minute.
It has to be strong agents on
We've
both
lost
sides.
more deals over property inspections than anything in the last 60 days. Anything. Anything. And it's silly. That's not what it was intended for. But that's what it involved to. Yeah, Tom?
I've had a couple just recently, and I haven't done a lot of business really, but multiple offer situations. They'll bid it to the moon, and they've got all the appraisal gaps, stuff, and then they've got the inspection, and they get you back. So that's, I mean, hey, it's, well, we're talking. So it's, they tie the property up, and then they come back at you later and do all that.
Oh, they want price reductions, they want this, they want that, we're not buying it.
People living nonsense out of it, and then you're sitting there, call your second or third buyer. So anyways, that's what I've run into.
Yeah.
Fix.
So, but the thing that I'm running across, you're absolutely right what you just said. The thing I'm running across is our agent, the listing agent, didn't even know it until it happened. Didn't you read it in advance? Didn't you
No,
look at
they
it?
didn't read it. That's the answer to your
And
question.
again, I know you have to have a strong agent on both sides. It's not just the buyer's agent
Yeah.
that's letting that happen. It's the listing agent that's not saying, I have multiple offers, and which one really is the strongest? You read every one of them, and not just throw something on a spreadsheet and with your numbers and look, oh, that's high, that's low, you know, no.
That's
Yeah.
one of the reasons we're
Read the
doing.
wording.
Go ahead.
So
Absolutely.
there are buyer's agents out there that brag, I always get money back after inspection. And they sit down with their
Yes,
buyers.
there are.
Seriously. They sit down with their buyers and say, okay, let's do this. I'm gonna give you some quotes from some of my people, I know who they are. And we're gonna ask for $5,000 or $10,000 back on these inflated quotes, like some pipe leaks a little, we want $1,000 to fix that. And I know who they are, right, after time, but somebody might not know who they are and that they do this. So I agree with what she said, being a strong agent on the list side, you just sit there, every offer we take, we always look for somebody who's gonna be a backup, and we tell them straight up, nope, the answer's no. You're not getting that back, do you want the house or not? Otherwise, there's somebody in line behind you who wants it, right?
Yeah, change
And it's
money
that
up
simple.
front.
Yes, be
Go
on
ahead,
the
Peg.
offense, not the defense.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, as a listing agent, I started with the multiple offer stuff a couple, 3 years ago, whenever I started, obviously, we put together our Excel sheet, our spreadsheets. And I always have inspections, as long as, I have lots of criteria. And one thing, I think I shared this before, the first thing I do is say, before we look at the price, I want you to select this offer based on terms.
Yes.
And based on all the other criteria, and then we'll unveil the price. And then we'll look at them again. The inspection's always there. And the points of the inspection, not only how many days, but the type of the inspections and the requirements. And that's always part of the highest and best. Best is not always
Yes.
highest.
No, best is
it's
often
always
not
part of the
highest.
whole-
You know,
Now look at that whole picture.
I just want to tell you guys something, it's human nature, I don't know why an agent thinks they're representing their buyer properly if they give the buyer all kinds of backups. I just don't understand
No.
how they feel like, but in Florida, where I came from, it's a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. You should see the crap they're doing now. These buyers are just bending these sellers over, you know, and these listing agents are letting them. They're letting them because it's a buyer's market and you know, it's just the opposite of the market that we have. But our market will change one of these days. But I guess what I'm trying to say is changing forms, changing purchase agreements, changing this, I use that. I don't think any of our own offices use the same forms. It's just, you gotta read them, and if there's bad language in there, that offer might not be the best offer for that house.
Exactly.
You know, unless they're willing to change it.
Exactly.
If it doesn't feel right, it's probably not
It's
right.
another criteria to look at when you're
Yes.
evaluating which offer or if you're even going to accept
Well,
an
the
offer.
worst thing that can happen to you is you find out about this problem after it's a problem.
It's funny that we're going there because we have this lined up to talk about today because we're seeing a lot more of this right now. It's gotten very aggressive the last few weeks again, and it kind of that runs in waves. Bill, do you want us to just keep going with this and then we'll come to you? Sure.
Oh, I
Okay.
didn't know it was on your agenda.
That's okay. It worked out. It's perfect prelude into the conversation. It all works out. So this is a very common denominator that we are seeing again, which is great, right? Competition. However, when you're on the buying end, it's a little bit tough. So, creativity. We're seeing escalation clauses again. We are seeing appraisal guarantees again. We're seeing playing with tax prorations so that you can get the concessions in correctly because you're going to max out or this or that. What else are we seeing? Are we seeing that we're seeing tax prorations are being offered to pay by the buyers or no tax prorations, whatever it may be, depending on the time of year and how the bills fall. What else are we seeing?
Free occupancy.
Free occupancy, all the
That's
normal,
very-
very common, that's almost a
Free
given
Quite
if the seller
common,
needs
yeah.
occupancy and these competitive
And sometimes
offers.
inspection and lack
It-
thereof. Yeah.
Reducing or, yes,
Let me
waiving
stop.
inspection, which is not a great
Let me
idea.
stop you right there on the free occupancy. I just dealt with this, got an agent in this office, a good agent in this office, a good agent, that gave free occupancy for 3 months on the house.
It's a long time.
Guess what? 3 months is up, person's not moving. What are you gonna do about it?
You gotta put that other clause in there.
Yeah.
You gotta put the security, and you also gotta put if they don't move out, they're gonna pay
Yeah.
X amount.
This
Or if
particular
you do free occupancy,
situation didn't
you need on
allow
both
for
sides.
that
We put a
scenario.
security and the agent
We
said,
put-
we don't subscribe to that, and crossed it right off.
Yeah, we do both, we do the free occupancy, but then you do the other, you
Right.
don't.
You have to protect as much as you can,
Yeah.
yes.
It was our agents, was buyer situation, and they're buying the house, and they said, you know, as part of negotiating, we'll give you 3 months free. And then didn't say, but if you don't move at the end of 3 months, here's what happens.
Right.
Well, this agent is about 3 months into the eviction process, and probably got 3 more to go. You know?
Because she has the story.
Yes.
Don't we, on our occupancy, I always do the occupancy addendum, so that
Yeah.
has it called.
It does have that in there built in.
So why didn't they didn't use that?
Sometimes you can't collect from somebody. Sometimes they're just not going to go. This is the farthest end of the extreme without the home being damaged, okay? So with this, if I believe that we're talking about the same scenario. So this was a scenario that this person does not have those things, okay? And the eviction process is brutal. It's absolutely
Well,
brutal.
It's all about the tenant.
We are a tenant-centric state.
Yes, we are. But we had something like that go, but it was taken out, the money at closing was taken out even though they had occupancy.
This was just a very unique scenario.
And I'm like, how did that not?
There can be further protection taken. This scenario did not think it was going to yield needing that.
Just don't be
So,
afraid to ask yourself,
yes.
what if?
You have
Read
to
the
make sure
purchase
it's
agreement to
painful.
say, what if?
Yes.
I always put holdover
Yes.
of $250 a day, and they freak out, and I'm like, sorry,
You gotta be
they've
out.
given you gotta be out, or you're paying
They
$250 a
shouldn't freak
day.
out.
to stay.
They
You gotta be
should-
out.
Yeah, if they freak out, that should be a red flag to your buyer that they have no intention of getting out.
There
in
are
time.
people trying to push occupancy further out. I've heard that more lately than I like to hear. My seller isn't ready to go. And I'm like, but they've been in there for 60 days. What have they been doing? You're
I
dealing
did.
with that where a woman's sleeping on the couch right now.
I know, no, I got her out.
You got her out? Woo, good. And she's
Yes.
my person.
She's my Keisha now.
But I
Yeah, she's in Keisha's house.
I offered, I said,
got
you
her
wanna come to my
Yeah.
house? I said, so you're not there, because it was a horrible situation for
Yes.
them. This wasn't what they wanted,
It's
but the
emotional.
guy buying it, that wasn't his fault. And
No.
that's what I said to
Just
them.
keep in mind, just keep in mind.
Keep it painful at the end. The consequence has to be painful. Remember that. They're built in for a reason. The what if is built in for a reason
Well,
because the
there
what
is
if
what if.
happens
They always happen.
sometimes.
Just keep in mind
Yes.
that we have an in-house attorney. Read your purchase agreement, say to yourself, what if? If you don't know the language you put on there, talk to Bill. If something bad happens, he has an extra room in his house.
I got a few.
You sleep with my dog, so I don't have to.
There you go.
They
Nicole,
won't like that.
what's the preferred language or enforcement mechanism if the person doesn't move after the date that they're supposed to?
It's a financial consequence. There's a
Okay, it's typically
holdover that's
financial.
held that is threatened.
If financial
Best-
penalty enough, they're not collectible, so what, it'll still give the incentive to not get a judgment
Yes.
against them, it'll still give them the incentive
Yeah.
to get the hell out.
You're holding just enough money back to make it painful. It
And
has
the
to
best-
be painful.
The best incentive is not to collect the money in the future.
No.
It's
get
to
in
collect
and
it at closing.
Yeah,
At closing.
So that the money's there
Yes.
when they don't
It's
move,
like
and
their
it's a
deposit.
250 penalty or whatever. Because if you just put it's gonna be a $250 penalty, then you're gonna fight it in the eviction court with the tenant favoring judge, who's gonna say, well, that seems excessive, and why would they pay that much? That's not the market. And the judge is gonna favor the hell out of the tenant. So you wanna have a pool of money in escrow somewhere that you can tap at closing.
Is there a typical percentage you like to
No.
see?
Whatever you can get away with.
Is there anything like, look, I'll give you 60 days free because that's what we negotiated, but that would have been $500 or $1,000 a month, or that would have been $1,500 a month. If you don't get out in the time, now you got to pay that rent that I
Yes.
waived.
Well, yeah, but again, but you want to
Collect the
collect
money.
it ahead of time.
Okay.
You don't want to try to get it out of them after they don't move, because then they're going to fight you tooth and
Gotcha.
nail in court.
Gotcha. Here's what the payment should have been. I'm gonna collect the money, hold it. You get out on time, we'll give you the money. You don't get out on
All
time,
is good.
see you in court. By the way, I'm keeping your money.
Yep,
Right.
it's forfeited.
But even like with the buyer on my house, she did not have an occupancy addendum. And I mean, it's not my responsibility to cover for
It was
her.
the buyer's.
I have fiduciary duty to my sellers. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you don't have any,
Guideline.
what are you doing?
What's the
Because-
roadmap?
Because, we had the 30, I was pushing them because they had the 30, and I'm like, you need to be out, we don't want, you're gonna lose your deposit, you're gonna,
All the things.
all the things.
All the
you know.
things.
So, but they don't do it on the other side.
No, they don't.
What's up, T?
Just briefly, all in the agent remarks now, you read them and you have to send it, your offer this way and do that and stand on your head and have, the listing agents are all telling the thing. Couldn't we put right in there, you must use our occupancy form and draft up something that protects us?
You-
As a seller,
you
otherwise
can-
go buy another
You
house.
can put it in the agent remarks, but the purchase agreement and what you do with the purchase agreement is what's going to control. But if you have it in the agent remarks, it makes it much easier to say, hey, I told you.
Well, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
all the listing agents tell you to do this and do that, you better do this, use this system, and here's how I'm gonna get the offers. The only way I want them So we could do that just as well.
Sure.
Put it as an attachment, couldn't we? I mean, then
Yeah.
if we chose to, if we had a hot listing and then we'd be done with it.
And if they're smart and it's an aggressive listing, they're gonna use your form.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
an inspection clause, too bad, so sad, we can do whatever we want. This is what they do in Florida.
It is.
You gotta take
It's
care.
how you take some control of your listing.
Gotta be careful that you don't put something in there that's gonna affect the seller's ability to sell the house. Because the next thing you know is they're gonna want out of the listing because there's no showings, and they're gonna blame the language that you put in the agent remarks to, so talk to them, I guess is what I'm
I
saying.
hear
Make
you.
sure the seller understands that that's gonna be in the agent remarks, so he knows on the front side.
I have an online viewer question.
We don't do those.
I know, but we are. Let's say you represent a client who is building a home. If builder releases them from their contract, so the builder's releasing the buyer from the contract and returns their earnest money in full, can the buyer come back for any legal reason? So the builder is releasing them, giving their money back, saying, I can't work with
Well,
you, bye-bye.
it depends on the release that is executed. If it's a complete mutual release, then the buyer can't go back on them.
Okay.
But if, builders are, no offense if there's any builders listening, but they are a little weak and fast with their paperwork. So if they just send them the earnest money back and the buyer, wants to sue them for breach of contract or whatever, they probably can get away with that. But if there's a
release.
good release executed, then they can't.
Yeah, I just went through something similar to that with a different agent in Florida, actually, a friend of mine. And the builder's notorious. Take the money, build the house, don't do what he's supposed to do, don't finish what they're supposed to do it the way he wants to do it. Then the buyer gets mad and he says, you know what, you're an idiot, I'm getting rid of you, you're not buying this house. Here's your money back, bye-bye. Meanwhile, the guy's got a beautiful spec all built on somebody else's money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no, the builder can get in a lot of trouble for that if you get the right buyer.
Yeah, and if he doesn't do his paperwork to release that first buyer, yeah, he can.
So moral of the story is get the release. All right, Bill, you're up.
So, sometimes I hear, why do you need that old divorce judgment? We're always asking, we need the divorce judgment. Give us the divorce judgment. But it's 20 years old. What do I need the divorce judgment? You're fighting with poor Andrew, who's been in the hospital, you meanies. Anyway, he's back and he's healthy, and so all that's good. So here's a case. We would all agree, I think, that this is an old divorce judgment. It's from 2000. 25-year-old divorce judgment. Okay?
Doesn't seem like it, but it is.
In 2003, there was an order issued that the husband, defendant, had to pay the wife $17,000 upon the sale of the principal residence. Okay? This order said that if he sold the cottage, okay, the cottage, not the house, the cottage, he had to pay her $17,000, right? In a couple months later, she files a lien on the residence, not the cottage, on the residence for that $17,000. Okay? And nobody checked it. Then, this year comes along. Now, husband's living in the house all this time. He's awarded the house in the divorce. She's supposed to execute a quitclaim deed, right? Which she never does. All she does is these two things. Husband, in his infinite wisdom, dies. So the first thing the wife does is she hires a realtor and puts a for sale sign on the house. Now, she was never awarded the house in the divorce judgment. He was, right? So the children, there's 6 of them, file a probate estate for husband, right? And they hire a realtor who goes out to the house and says, what the hell, there's a for sale sign here already, why are you selling the house? They find out that it's the wife who technically has no interest in the house, and so now the probate attorney hires said realtor and gets rid of the wife's realtor, so now the probate is selling the house, right? But now we're marching up to closing. We have a buyer, right? We do the title work and discover this.
That shouldn't be there.
Now, in that order, all it says is, it is further ordered that wife may place a lien in the amount of $17,500 on the cottage owned by husband.
What's the definition of cottage?
But she didn't do that. She filed a $17,500 lien on the residence.
Isn't it triple damages?
Well, here we go. So now we have litigation between the wife and the probate estate. Yes, ma'am.
Did he sell the cottage?
I don't even know. I don't know. We're dealing with the residents, right? So now she thinks, wife, hired a lawyer, she thinks she ought to get $17,500 plus interest. Right? So she's claiming through the probate estate that when the house sells, she should get $300,000 because of the 17.5 plus interest, and she got a lawyer to take her case. So here we go, and we want to close it next week. And we're like, we have to have some sort of an agreement here between the wife's attorney and your attorney about how much she's going to get when the house sells.
But it's not the house, you shouldn't be getting no cash from that. It's
Well, but that's a lawsuit because you're gonna have to release the lien, right? Because it's a valid lien, it's recorded. It's recorded against the legal description of the house, so the only way to get rid of it is either she releases it or we get a judgment from the judge that says you shouldn't have placed that lien, so it's not legal.
Well, and not only that, Bill, isn't she exposed to, like, you lien the property that you're not supposed to lien, and you could get triple damages,
But,
especially if you lose that sale.
right, but you gotta be willing to do 2 years worth of litigation to get there.
Did he make
And they
sell
wanna
that
sell
cottage
the, and they wanna sell the house now because they have a buyer. They don't wanna, so they're trying to negotiate with the wife to get her to take less money to release this lien that we have.
But then-
It's not right. I'm agreeing with you 100%, Keisha, and Joe.
I'm questioning now though, if the divorce decree said that back in 2000.
It does.
Said that she gets to put the lien of 17.
No, that was another
Okay,
order.
so the order in 2003. So that order is floating out there. Is that still gonna attach itself to the cottage even if she does the litigation on the house?
Don't know, not my worry.
I know, but.
It's her lawyer, it's her lawyer's worry.
Right.
I would, if she releases the lien,
Cottage.
I get it, but
If
I'm
she-
just thinking,
I'm just saying, if I'm the estate's attorney
yes.
and she releases the lien, I'm not gonna let her claim that she can still enforce this order.
It's
I'm
hard to
gonna
see
make
why he got
that
divorced.
part of the release of lien.
Is there anything? with
So
her
anyway,
not-
the chances of this closing next week are pretty slim.
Unfortunately.
But understand something, that 6 children have filed the probate estate. 4 of them are hers.
That's what I was gonna ask her, is she the wife and?
4 of them are
So
hers.
she's the wife and the mother.
And she won't even release the lien, and they're her kids asking her to release the lien. So you wonder why sometimes we want old divorce judgments. This is the best example that I've seen in a while.
Bill, did you say that she did not do the quit claim on the
No.
residence?
Never
Doesn't
did.
that give her ownership then?
No. Because he was awarded the house in the divorce judgment.
Okay, but.
And the
okay, so
judgment.
Divorce decree does say
Back
that.
up.
Okay.
Yeah,
So she doesn't need to-
he was awarded the house.
Okay.
She's supposed to do a quit claim. And if she doesn't do a quit claim, he can record the divorce judgment. He was rude enough to die before he ever did that.
And it just goes to show you, and I say this to people all the time who want to use child support or alimony as part of their income, and just because they just got a divorce decree, nobody is enforcing or following up that anybody does what that says.
Right.
It's in writing, but nobody follows up to see who's doing what and what's doing who.
Or if they do follow up, like in this case, she filed the lien that she was given, right? But she put it on the wrong piece of property. And the husband didn't do anything about it for 20 years.
Did he know? Can
Well,
you?
yeah, sure, he gets notice of the lien, it's against his house.
She
Probably figured when I sell it over here.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years, he did nothing, but then he was rude enough to die.
Yeah.
So anyway, just to show you,
Well,
I mean,
even if he didn't die, you'd still have a problem.
well, sure. But it would, yeah, we would.
There would be 6 kids, it would be 1.
All
So
right?
what's the takeaway for the agent then, or us
You'd
here?
have to pay her.
Well, the takeaway from the agent is to get us all the documents,
Okay.
right? Because we've been asking for the documents for weeks and weeks, right? We've had the purchase agreement for weeks and weeks, but now we're dancing up to closing, and all of a sudden, a week before closing, all this shows up.
Doesn't the attorney, I'm just asking because you're an attorney, doesn't the attorney that took this case for her have some type of liability to say, look, idiot, you're going to get me in big trouble?
Well, as long as, now, and this is, you would say there's no way he can take this case, but as long as he can make a good faith argument to the court, he has no liability whatsoever. So if a judge could hammer him and say there's no way that you took this in good faith, and therefore I'm going to sanction you, and if that happened, then he would put his license at risk. But because judges are lawyers,
Right.
they're very reluctant to sanction one of their own. And so he's going to try like hell to find something that's a good faith argument for that lawyer took her case. So.
And I struggle with these all the time looking at divorce decrees because we have to get the full divorce decree just to show one piece of it.
Right.
And it says for her to get the money from the sale of the cottage. Well, is there anything that says that he has to sell the cottage by 2025? No. Well, so what enforcement is being done? Like how?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
she'll be gone before
and she just, I would argue that she knew that when she filed the lien, she filed it against the house, not the cottage. Because, he's probably one of these guys that said, I'm never selling my cottage.
Because I'm never gonna pay her, right?
And then he died, so she knew that at some point he's gonna sell the residence, and she put the lien against the residence.
Trump would get them all in a room together, and he would say, listen, remove the right to file a lien on the cottage, your kids got that too, so they own the cottage. We'll give you your 17.5, you're not getting any interest, let's just settle this.
Well, that's what should happen, and that's what they're in the process of trying to make happen. I can't believe that she's taking this position that she wants all this interest from the estate, and the estate is in essence her children.
Right.
So she's taking the money out of her children's
A
pocket,
lot of people don't like
Maybe
this.
she needs money.
I guess. Anyway, any other questions?
Yeah, real quick,
Yeah.
so so the divorce was in 2000.
Right.
What would put the agent on notice to think about this even to go back? Because not every sale you're going to be thinking about, oh, is there a pending divorce? Was there ever a
I
divorce?
want to ask the question.
Was there ever a divorce?
How was it purchased? Was
Okay.
there other people involved during the purchase?
Well,
You
she never
married
came on
when
the
it was
broker
purchased?
plan.
And pre-title, it is on the broker demand if there was a divorce in the process, just to jolt you to think about it. However, in pre-title too, you will be prompted to provide certain things in title, once you get that commitment.
Yeah, well, as soon
Well, her name's still on
as we get the purchase agreement, which was 3 or 4 weeks ago, we send out a thing requesting information. One of the things that we requested 3 or 4 weeks ago was the divorce decree.
And what prompted you to do that was you saw 2 names on the
Well,
property?
we can see that all this stuff was recorded. This was recorded,
Okay.
this was
That's what
recorded.
prompted you.
That prompts.
So that prompts us to say, where's the divorce? We need to see the divorce decree. Did she, so that prompts us to ask the question, my bringing it up to you is basically get it to us. If we had a month head start on trying to get this resolved, it's a lot better than having a week to try and get it resolved. You know, if we've got a month, it's much easier for the attorneys to negotiate a settlement. When you got a week, there's lots of pressure on the estate attorney to get this resolved so the buyer can
Let me
move
answer
forward
from a
with the
broker's point of
transaction.
view, Bill.
Yeah.
You're doing it legal. Let me answer from a broker's point of view. When you list a property, and it's a single person selling it, and you ask, has there ever been a divorce? Right then and there, when you list the property, say, you know what, we can cut off a lot of red tape and get this closed quicker. Their title company eventually is gonna want a copy of the divorce decree. Can we just get that out now? And get going on it. You'll know if you got a problem within days.
Yeah,
But I will
yes.
ask, if it's a couple that's been married and they've been in the house together even though they were previously divorced,
Mhm.
do I have to worry about that if
Yep.
it's only
you gotta
on
kn-
this property that I'm gonna do the listing on that I ask, did you ever own this? Because I do sit down, is there any litigation, was there divorces, death, did this house transfer? And so far, it's been a no. But I wondered because like my couple this past week, they were both remarried, but they purchased the house together as the couple with their divorces from many years ago.
Yeah, you got a problem. I would have it looked at.
Yes.
Well, I mean, but it won't matter for previous divorces if the couple now, married to each other, buy this and have lived there 10 years and they want to sell it. I still have to ask for their existing divorce?
Well, you should ask for the prior divorces to know love is a many splendored thing. And people owe each other money from prior divorces that doesn't get paid. And so we would want to check if anybody owed anybody money that hadn't been paid.
Okay.
And if they do, we're gonna want them to sign some sort of a release, even though they're selling a house and they're all in love now, at one point they weren't. And so we want to resolve those prior issues when we sell the house they're living in now.
Okay.
Okay?
That seems like that goes against what you just said about the cottage. You don't care, that's not the property we're dealing with right now. So that seems like,
No, well, it's about the money. I want to know if they are owed money. Not the property,
Well, the
but are they
cottage would
owed
be.
money? And the cottage wasn't really whether they owed money. She just put the lien on the property she shouldn't have, which was the residence. So I don't care, you know,
In this scenario.
in this scenario, the 17.5 went against the house. It probably shouldn't have, but that's the fight for the lawyers to have.
Doesn't the court look?
Huh?
Doesn't the court ask?
Well,
for-
but you got to get it in front of them.
No, I mean, when you go to put a lien on, don't they ask, why are you putting a lien on?
No.
They'll record anything.
Race to
Don't
record
record
state.
anything.
Michigan is very slighted.
Okay.
It's a race to record state.
And now with electronic recording,
That's where I go back to,
Well, I'm thinking I should do it to my ex.
but that's where I go back to,
Seriously.
that's where I go back to, yeah, you can lien anything you want, anytime you want. But our law, if you go through the court system, if you get in front of a judge, if you do everything, our law is real clear that if you did that out of spite, you're just liening a property you didn't have a right to lien, you gotta pay triple damages for whatever it costs the person. So you don't wanna lien somebody's property and play games with them.
No, but he didn't deny it. He fulfilled the divorce decree and do what he was supposed to, and I just didn't do anything about it.
well, and that's this case. I mean, nobody did
You
anything
get
for
paid in 20 years.
25 years. I mean, nobody did a thing for 25 years. So,
Do it.
He don't care though.
yeah, leave that
He's
alone.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably didn't like the kids either.
That's terrible.
Joe, welcome back. It's good to see you. You wanted a few minutes, so take the stage, sir.
Oh, really? After all that?
It's up to you.
Sorry, I'm back. I gotta say a couple things, like hello at least.
He's alive.
He's doing great.
Well, I don't know about doing great, but I'm back and I'm alive. Yeah, just in case anybody wonders, you know, I had cancer. And I went to Texas and got that fixed, and it's gone. It's gone. It's cancer, they say won't come back. but I got double pneumonia from the treatment, and that almost killed me. And then I ended up with a lot of fatigue, and I went to the doctor again. And they said, oh, well, we gave you all this chemo and radiation and all the stuff we had to give you. It screwed up your heart. Then I had open heart surgery, and I had 4 bypasses. And I lived through that, and the only thing I got left is I'm still tired. I'm 3 months out of surgery. Doctor said it could be 8 months to a year before you get your energy level back. And so I'm functioning. I'm just living on a lot of caffeine. But,
It's probably not good for your heart. I'm just
you know what? I have low blood pressure. I asked my heart doctor about it. He said, if you had high blood pressure, we'd have a different conversation. But I have low blood pressure. He said, you know what? If that's what you need to get through the day, so be it, So I'm not overly worried about it, but you're right. Nothing is good for you. But laying in bed trying to sleep all day can't be good for you either. So anyway, my health is that. I'm back to work, Everybody's been doing a really good job keeping the place together for me, my management team and everything. The market sucks, guys, doesn't it? Just suck. We haven't had a robust real estate market since COVID. It just seemed everybody pulled back. Agents went home to work. They don't even come to the office anymore. It's like a ghost town in here. They're working from home. I guess they're productive. I mean, I look at the volume. We're still beating our competition. But I walk around the office. Not only agents aren't coming to the office anymore, they're using these cubicles as garages. And that looks terrible. This summer I'm going to get that changed, but I'll figure it out. I'll probably take a big room down here in the basement and set it up for storage, just for agents, and say, look, you can store your signs there, you can store your junk there. You can't just store it all over these empty cubicles. Even if somebody's not sitting there, when we try to recruit agents, we walk them around the office and we show, it just looks, it's not proper. They're not garages, they're cubicles, So that's one of the changes I'm going to have to make. But sometime this summer I'll deal with it. I'm not really in the swing of things yet. I've been more out of it than you think as far as phone calls or anything. I've been pretty sick, I really have been. And I'm struggling with prospecting. I talk to a lot of agents. I just talk to them, how's the market? It's picking up. Is it really? Well, how come you don't have more listings? Well, just people aren't listing right now. What are you doing to prospect? Well, what do you mean? Well, what are you doing to prospect every day? Are you doing something every day to try to drum up new business? I've got a couple agents, I think they do best with their second job, handing out their business cards. As a server at a restaurant or as a retail place, handing out their business cards to people, 'cause that's at least prospecting. Everybody seems like they want to buy leads off the internet or do something on the internet, which I'm not against at all. I think it's wonderful. But I don't think it's going to get you the kind of business you want. I just don't think it will. I think you need to get back to guys, might be a little old-fashioned, but I think you need to prospect more. Whatever you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable on a phone, prospect on a phone. If you're comfortable face-to-face, figure out a way. Go to a mall, set up a booth, hand out business cards. Door knock, something. I know it seems like old-fashioned stuff because it's not a computer. Believe me, it works. People like face-to-face more than anything. I run across people all the time when I go out for dinner at night. And even when I go out, I try to wear my tag or my logo. I always say I'm in real estate. We get in a conversation, how's the market? first question I have is, well, why do you ask? You thinking of selling or you thinking of buying? Boom! You know, the conversation is off and running. And, you know, just, I don't think people are prospecting as much as they used to. And I think it's because it's a slow market and they're saying, well, or they got spoiled when it was a really, really good market and business just came to them. When it was a really, really good market, business, I can't tell you how many agents we put in escrow. Because I pay $275 a month on everybody, whether they're selling real estate or not. I can't have an agent here that isn't producing, and I'm paying $275 a month for them. You know, that's like throwing your guys' money away, because I collect from you, I pay the bills, and I'm throwing your tax dollars away. We've been recruiting like crazy. We've been getting a lot of new agents. If I got my numbers right, we bought somewhere at least a dozen new ones in the last 60, 90 days. That's a lot. Some will make it, some won't, but they'll take the training, they'll take the coaching, they'll want to learn. We'll teach them the value of prospecting, and they seem like they're going to do better. First blush, I think I remember I just got back, but my first blush is they look like they're going to do better than the ones that are kind of experienced, but they're not taking any training, any mentoring, they're not prospecting, they're just waiting for the phone to ring, you know? It seems like the good agents, when I say good, experienced agents that know how to prospect and do things, I don't know, you know, they're not setting the world on fire, but they're doing pretty damn good. And that's it. Food for thought, but I'm going to be working with my management team a lot on, you know, when these guys go once a month to RE/MAX's seminars, Mike Metzner, our regional manager, I've been to those things for years. I know what it's all about. It's about recruiting. They sit there and they say, here's how you recruit an agent, here's how you recruit an agent, here's how you recruit an agent, here's how you recruit an agent. And they come back all pumped up to recruit. And I'm going to start working with the management team on how do we get the existing agents to prospect, to really go out and hit the streets and go after business and come up with constructive ways to prospect other than the internet. Not get rid of the internet, maybe even enhance the internet. But there's other ways to prospect. Trust me, there are other ways to prospect. I bet you if I did a toll right now of every agent in the company, every agent, and said, when's the last time you picked up the phone and called all your clients that you've worked with in the past? You said, hey, how you doing? What's new? Do you happen to know of anybody interested in buying or selling? You know, I just want to stay in contact with you. You got any questions about your market, values, anything? Have a conversation. When's the last time? I'll bet you I'll get maybe 5 in this whole company that have done that. Seems ridiculous to me.
Turn around and look at my challenge.
You are 5 most important people.
Who are the 5 most
Oh, yeah. Good. Good. Well, okay, like I said, I haven't been around lately, but I'm not seeing the prospecting. That's probably why you got it up there on the board.
We actually have been doing we've heavily been encouraging prospecting with our boot camps and such, and teaching them how to go back to basics and do certain things. And how often do you hear from me, go pick up the phone and call somebody? Like every week?
Let me ask you a question. I'm just talking out loud. What kind of attendance are you getting at those boot camps?
The first one was very well attended. We've ran one full one because they run 6 weeks out. The second one starts on Wednesday in Ann Arbor, and it's a little bit smaller, but that's because we had a large push through the first one. We had about 25 people.
Okay, good. Well,
Yeah.
that'll be at our managers meeting on Thursday. Be ready for it.
Sure.
Okay, so prospecting. Enough about that.
It's great training too. I had the boot camp, and I want to thank the management team for a great job that they did putting that together, because it's very valuable.
All right, well, I'll quit harping on it. Like I said, I just got back. You guys might be prospecting fools, and I'm making an idiot of myself up here. But I've been talking to agents, and every agent I talk to, we get in a conversation just in the halls. I say, oh, by the way, how are you prospecting? And it's just, I get a blank look on their face. You know? So, I don't know. I know you guys are running tight on money. It's been a terrible market. Some of you have other sources of income, some of you don't. Some of you, this is what you need, you know, but whatever. I'm just letting you know the company's really running tight, really tight, really tight. Now, all I've been doing is writing checks for about 3 years now, about $100,000 a month loss. You know, I've been writing over $3 million worth of checks just to pay the bills, not to make any profit, just to break even. So I did make a change not too long ago on the 495. I haven't had a chance to analyze it to see if it's generating any more revenue. It'll only generate more revenue if there's more deals. If there's more deals, I'll get more title work. If I get more title work and more 495s, it adds up fast. It adds up fast. When this company makes money, it makes decent money. You know, you won't hear me up here crying the blues, and I try to give as much of it back to you as I can in programs. But there may have to be some changes after I analyze this, because I'll be able to get us through the summer without closing the doors or filing bankruptcy or saying, God damn, I just can't keep writing checks for $100,000 a month. How long can a guy do that? I can get us through the summer. But next winter is going to be a cold winter if this market doesn't improve. Now, oh my God, I hear so many things about the second half of the market's going to be great, and I hear the Feds hate Trump, and they're not going to lower interest rates no matter what. His job is up in a year, and he's not going to give us a break in interest rates at all, and he should. And your real estate market's going to be terrible for at least another year and a half. And then I hear, nope, second half of this year it's going to be wonderful. You know, I heard an ingenious idea on a talk program. These politicians, they have these think tanks, you know, and they got to be talking about what we're talking about. How can I stimulate the real estate market? Because hell, we're such a big part of this economy. And one of the guys I thought was really sharp, young whippersnapper, says, you know what, I'm going to suggest to Trump for 1 year, he says, because if you look at it close and really look at it, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of investors out there that have bought houses for investment. I own one house and it's a rental. I own 10 houses, it's a rental. I own 20 houses, they're a rental. I own 2 houses, they're a rental. There's thousands of those people. And they don't sell because the capital gains is outrageous right now. Why don't we just waive capital gains for 1 year and say, if you sell this year, there's no capital gains on your... It would blow the market loose. Every one of those people would put their homes on the market, and we'd have all the inventory we needed. Seems to me like prices are starting to come down a little bit, but not enough to make a difference. You know, I don't know if the prices are coming down, or if the sellers are negotiating when they get an offer a little bit, come down a little bit. Colleen, you're in the room, you do a lot of real estate. So I'm going to ask you, are you getting 2 and 3 offers on listings still?
Yeah, but I think we only see prices coming down because the sellers definitely are still pie in the sky. Like, they are definitely wanting way too much.
Yeah.
But in general, the investment is, 5%. You can watch the trend line. If you look at the education, you're not losing value on your home, but yes, prices are coming down a little bit, and the market is soft right now for sure. We are getting multiple offers, but we also have listings that are sitting.
You know, it's crazy. I came from Florida, and I don't do any real estate down there. But down there, it's a buyer's market now. And you should see how the prices are starting to come down. Because it's a completely different market.
How long have you been in the buyer's market?
In Florida.
How long has it been a buyer's market?
In Florida, about 6 months.
Oh, okay.
About 6 months, you know. I told my nephew, he wanted to sell his house. I said, sell it now. A buyer's market's coming, it's a seller's market, and get long occupancy, because he had to have the house for 6 months. I said, people, when they buy down there, a lot of times they're second home, you'll get occupancy, don't fight that, go rent a place. he didn't. He waited till now, and now it's like, it's worth a lot less than what, 6 months ago, and he's not even getting showings. It's a buyer's market, you know? And it changes like that. And you know, to this day, I can't tell you why the market goes bad, and I can't tell you why the market goes up. I really can't. I mean, everybody tries to guess that market, and you can't. You don't.
We had a very strong, very fast-paced spring market. And that spring, even though I know technically we're still in spring, that has softened since the talk of the tariffs. I mean, people are holding back.
They are,
for sure.
they just are.
And it's just softened like unbelievably.
It doesn't take much to jar it, does it? Yeah, so
But you know, with education and discussion with people out there, and
well,
giving
anyway,
them
back,
facts that aren't all hyped up by the media, we can help ourselves that way.
well, I guess what I'm getting back to my original point is, I've got to be realistic and say, what if? What if it doesn't improve this year? And if I've got my home on the market for sale, if it sells, I'll be okay, and I'll be able to fund the company. If it doesn't sell, I don't know where I'll have to borrow money, but who wants to loan money to a company that's losing money? You know? So I have to be careful to make sure we survive. So I'm probably going to have to cut back either some departments or some price changes somewhere, something. I've got to get some overhead in and out of it. I'll be real careful what I do, and I'll think it through as try not to affect you too much at all if I can help it. Because I know you guys are suffering as much as the company is. I mean, not, you know, if the company's making money, you're making money. And if we're not making money, I know you're not making as much as you used to. It's plain and simple. So I'll keep my eye on, because you're the only ones that generate income. In the meantime, and you guys have been wonderful about it though, any mortgages or any title work you can put our way, it just really helps pay the bills, really helps a lot. So I guess I didn't want to come in here first time back, you all this gloom and gloom, but I'm back and I just say what's on my mind.
Joe, I have a question about title work and mortgage. What does it do to your, what do you feel like it would do to the agents if you demanded them? And there's no gray, there's black and white. You're using or you're gone.
Let me answer that question. Let me answer that question. Because boy, that question has gone in my mind 1,000 times. I talked to Bill Russell, he says you can't do it, it's a violation of the CFPB. I look at Trump and he's gone, I'm gonna kill the CFPB, you know. Then they say, well, no, you can't. The Democrats are saying we won't let you, and we're gonna keep it, and consumer protection, and legally, I can't do that, not legally. But I have a lot more flexibility to get tougher now than I used to.
I'm not talking by the consumer, I'm talking about your agents.
No, by my agents, it's against the law for me to tell my agents.
Independent.
I got, the CFPB came in here and they audited us for almost 3 weeks one time. And the thing that saved me, only thing that saved me was that every agent they interviewed, and they interviewed a lot of agents, said, well, you know, if I wanted to take the title work somewhere else, I can. If the answer would have been, look, if I took the title work somewhere else, Joe would have punished me, I would have probably lost my real estate license. So I got to be careful with it, but it's really, really tempting.
I'm confused, Joe, I'm confused why agents in this office don't use select title. What would be the motivation for not using select title?
I don't know.
I always recommend it. It's convenient, it's coordinating, it's good.
I had an investor flipping houses in Detroit that couldn't handle the land bank titles.
Right.
So I had to use a different title.
Oh, well, there's exceptions to the rule.
We have a very high
There are
capture
reasons.
rate.
And we've already got an incentive, and that's based on our cut, you know, the 60, 40, 10,000, all that. I mean, I can't understand why people.
Well, I can't either, honestly,
We
but
have-
there are exceptions to the rules, like you said, some reload properties, some banks, you got it, you know, well, we all know that. But the ones that aren't exceptions to the rule, I can't but there are title companies out there that are breaking the CFPB laws by bribing the agents. Hey, listen, give me your title work and, you know, and the agents are going, hey, I know you guys pay all the bills here. But so I'm gonna go collect some money over here where I'm not supposed to, and I'm not gonna pay the bills like you guys do because I'm different. And you know, Colleen, I look at those agents going, I just wanna sometimes, you know, and if this CFPB goes away, I probably will make changes. Right now, I'm just a chicken shit, to be honest with you. I don't want
We don't want to
trouble.
stores.
If you get an out-county agent deal, you can very easily get them. to
Absolutely.
select.
It's
Very
conversation. The biggest fallout that we see, and we have a very high capture rate, and we're very proud of that because Select does an amazing job and they've earned every single policy that comes through that door. The ones that we see slip through the cracks are, there's a company that starts with an L, and they often try to coerce with reductions in costs to come and do the full title work through there. That's where we're seeing some loss, and we're tracking that loss, and it is not a terrible amount. However, those don't need to go out the door. Have a conversation with Select Title on what this company may or may not be offering and see if something can be done to save some money for the consumer, okay? That's the biggest slip we're seeing. We want that policy to come through. We'd love that policy to come through. So it's the stuff that's slipping through the cracks that way more so, or the agents that are a little bit less strong with that say, you know, they say, well, I'll accept your offer if you use our title company. Well, you really can't say that.
I just
It's
have
about the
people do.
consumer's right to choose. They do. And it's how hard you push back on that, but obviously you're not gonna wanna at all affect your client's ability to get an offer accepted, but it's okay to hold your grounds.
I just said no. They twice this year, in the spring.
Yeah,
Right.
Well,
You say no.
Colleen-
I said no.
You can't force me to do that. It's the consumer's right.
We were gonna talk about this in our contract class later today, but there is a contract out there, a purchase agreement out there that hidden in the terms of the
Yes.
title work is that the buyer and seller will use the buyer's chosen title company. So if you don't, I just got it on one of mine and I had to go in and write in that
Well-
the seller is using Select Title Company and getting to choose.
Well,
that
let me
for
say
the
this to you.
policy.
Let me say to you about this. That's been around for a while. And you know, I got a handful of agents here, good sized group of agents here go, okay, that's fine. I want my commission, that's all I want, I don't care. It's in the purchase agreement. I'm not gonna scratch that off and say, no, you know, that the seller gets to, they're paying for it, they get to get it at Select Title if we want them to. You know, that it's better to have us control the closing, and they don't care. They just really don't care. And so when I said, guys, anything you can do to get us a little more work would be helpful, it just means, really, anything you can do to get, if the agent would have just said to the other agent, that's not acceptable, the other agent would have said, okay. You know, okay, just try.
Yes.
I don't want you to ever, please, I don't want you to ever lose a deal over title. Don't lose a deal. But I mean, geez, make an effort. Some agents won't even make an effort. It's fine with them, they
You
can care
don't
less.
subscribe to that.
We don't subscribe. Unsubscribe.
I know, that's the crap she just got.
Well, and I'll close with this,
Eerie.
God forbid something does go wrong with the closing, whatever Bill was talking about. You're a lot better off if the title work is here. I can't tell you how many times agents come into my office saying, I gotta have, it's a domino thing, if this doesn't close, the other one, can you, where's the title work? Was it here? No. I said, well, I can't help you. I can't help you. You know? I've had situations over the years, quite a few of them, where like that, and I said, go tell them that Select Title will close it Thursday for you, and they'll go switch title companies and we'll close it for them, because they won't, you know? And I've had it the other way though too, where Select says, listen, this is not legal. And if we close it, we're putting the person in legal jeopardy. We can't close this till we straighten this out. And they'll find a title company somewhere else. Say, don't worry about it, we'll close it. And yes, the people are now in legal jeopardy. And I'm saying, you know, yeah, I know. It's just a crazy world we live in. But everybody says, do I represent the buyer? Do I represent the seller? And believe me, the longer I'm in this business, I understand they represent the commission. I get it. Don't ever lose a deal over one, but please fight a little bit. We're hurting. But, you know, we're going to make it, but we're hurting. I could use some help. I really could. Appreciate it. Anybody got any questions? I'm here. You don't see too much of me, hopefully. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to get my shoulder fixed, so you might not see me for 3 or 4 days, but then I'll come in with a sling and drive you all crazy again.
Along the same lines, what is your feel or opinion of the consolidation we're seeing, like with Quicken buying the name of the company?
Well, that's been going on. That's been going on. The 43 years I've been in real estate, that's been going on. For 43 years, I've heard the computers are going to replace agents. You know, it's not a. What do we need live bodies for? You know, a computer can do everything. I've watched these. The only thing that's ever really hurt this industry and hurt it a lot was these third-party referral companies. Like they're buying these referral leads. It's. We go out and get the listing. We go out and get the buyer, and then some third-party company will start a beautiful website and marketing and say, if you're a buyer or seller, then call them. Then they'll come back and sell us our own lead back for 30% or 35%. That's hurt our industry. And we allowed that to happen because we gave them access to IDX. See, these companies couldn't get into IDX if MLS didn't let them. And the MLS backed down for legal reasons. I was so against that. So against that. And every attorney I've ever talked to said, you don't have to let them have IDX if they're not brokers. But that's hurt our industry. But I don't think it matters. They can consolidate, and it's a people business. Yep. If you guys prospect and you go out there and get listings, you're going to make money. If you don't prospect and you don't go out there and get enough listings, you're not going to make money. And it's not really going to be any skin off your nose who consolidates, other than the stuff where they try to double dip on the title work, other than the stuff where they try to sell us our own leads back and things like that. But I think it's probably more damaging in some of these really big cities, you know, Houston, Texas, New York. But we're out in the boonies. We're not a big enough market for those kind of players to affect us much, my opinion. Anybody got a different opinion on that? All right, I'll let you guys go.
Thank you. All right, so here's the week snapshot from last week to this week. Last week there were 69 new listings in the county. Tuesday to Tuesday this week we have an uptick at 87. So there is an uptick this week. Get your buyers out on the rails and get some pendings coming through.
School's almost out.
School's almost out. It's time. Listings are going to be going again. Make your calls like we've been talking about. Do that prospecting that Joe is mentioning, because we have got a lot of buyers ready to go. There were 46 pending versus 44, so the market is staying consistent with the amount of pendings. There will be an increase this week due to this number. Next week we will see that pending go up. All right? Make sure it's your buyers and not somebody else's. Get them on the phone. Get them with their lender. Get their stuff updated. Make sure they're ready to go. Don't send them into an open house without you. They cheat on you, even when they like you. Whether you have contracts or not, this is happening, okay? So, make sure you're accompanying your buyers. Make sure you're securing your relationships. Make sure you have your contract signed before you're walking into that house. Margaret.
This is kind of off the subject, but I forgot to talk about this before. I just wanted to share, there's a company out there that's not playing nice in the sandbox, and that's Next Home Realty in Brighton. I went to an Elcar event and I listened to a broker talk and I was like, ding, 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 that's not good. So just with compensation, they don't offer compensation, and I do my best to call, like when I'm working, I always call to find out if they offer compensation, and there was like 12 houses and I missed one, and of course I get an accepted offer and they're like, oh, well, that company, oh, we don't offer buyer, my seller's not offering buyer compensation. I'm like, okay, well, I don't work for free, and I got 2.5%, but just to give you, when you're working with Next Home Realty, be aware that they're probably not gonna.
They've always been run, but you know,
I've never had it since
Last August.
since last August, I haven't had any problems, and they said they offer 0.
but the thing is this, if you got a strong buyer-broker agreement,
Yep,
and you're getting paid no matter what, and then when you write the offer, you say the seller to pay the commission, they'll negotiate with you for sure, they will. But if you don't have a good buyer-broker agreement, you could show a house for free.
no, and I was all prepared, and my buyer was gonna, they wanted to just decrease the amount of the sale. But I'm just saying that this was my first experience, so just when you're Next Home Realty, being
Yes, you do have to make sure that you are covering your bases.
They don't believe in sellers paying the buyer compensation.
Well, that's why they have so many listings out
Okay, so kind of like that scenario where they aren't offering compensation, can the buyer write the offer asking for seller's concessions
Yes.
of 3% to go towards
Yes.
it?
Yes.
They can offer
You just have to make sure all the
concessions, and
numbers
they can
align
say that the
properly.
seller agrees to pay for the commission. They can write that all in the offer, and then negotiation starts. But you have to have a good buyer-broker contract that protects you. And just say, listen, your house is $300,000, and we're gonna offer you $295. But if your seller will pay the commission, we'll offer you $300 because we want to put it in our mortgage. You got to negotiate that, but you got to have a buyer-broker contract to do it.
Do you have to spell it out in the offer that seller's concession is going towards buyer commission? So does that have to go on
I thought we weren't supposed to buyer
I'm sorry, I missed part of it.
No.
Should be using.
Yeah, you use one addendum that's broker to broker or one that's directly from the seller.
Yes.
Yeah,
there's-
don't do the seller concession, it's
Yeah,
just
because that
compensation.
is gonna go in with the lender.
Yeah,
so-
it's an
a lot
option,
in clouds,
but there's easier options.
but you gotta make sure the lender says it's.
Yeah, I don't think a commission should ever be a seller concession.
Well,
The
that's-
commission should be,
Sometimes it has to be negotiated that way, depending on the circumstance. But that is not our first option that we go to typically. If you would like, after the meeting, I can show you the two forms so you can see them and see the differences. Right,
Just when you call and ask the question, is it coming from the broker, is it coming?
Right.
That will know.
Has your seller agreed to pay compensation?
But if they-
If so, to what amount? If not, you need to ask for it to be paid for by the seller.
Yeah.
Yes. Any new
so
listings?
I'm just curious, I'm not out in the marketplace, so when Next Homes shows one of our listings where we are offering compensation, they expect to get paid, right?
Sure they do.
I would think so.
Start saying 0.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
No, it doesn't mean.
No.
Yeah, and in that Elcar event, I was like, when I heard that, I was like, ding, 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 wow. I was like, wow, because she said, yeah, they advertise, like when they have their meeting with their buyers, they say, you can save money. You don't,
You would come with us and we'll save you the money, which is a bunch of crap, because then.
I just thought
But
that
then
was
we don't show their homes,
It's astonishing that she's in an Elcar meeting.
It was a, yeah.
It is their way of business.
I know it is, but.
And we knew it was coming.
That's why you all are you belong to this
Yeah.
brokerage. Yes.
Well, but it's always the same thing, they dangle that carrot.
Yes.
You go to them, you're gonna pay 6%, you come with me, and you don't have to pay the buyer's agent. But then it's again like what we said, you know.
You have to
To me,
cover
that's pretty
yourself with your
simple
paperwork.
language, I would think, to overcome in a listing presentation. If you're giving a listing presentation, and you could even talk about the differences. There's brokers out there that don't have you pay compensation, but let me tell you what happens really. You're really paying for it, let me tell you why. And if you were out showing houses and you were an agent trying to make a living, which house would you show?
Exactly.
You know, that kind of stuff.
That's all you have to say. I've listened to Tim over and over.
Yeah.
You just have to say, you will get no traffic, and this is not the way that you're going to improve your chances of selling this house.
Just to clarify, it was hypothetical, like this was a hypothetical buyer meeting that she said that, but it was like, well, you could read between the lines. I'm reading between the lines, that's what they do. That's what they do, and I experienced, and I didn't even put two together, and then they're like, well, we don't offer, my seller's not offering seller compensation, like, I don't work for free. So, yeah.
This is just where your paperwork needs to be very diligent.
Yep.
You need to ask for what you mean to ask for.
Yep.
You need to make sure
Well,
your
it all worked
paperwork
out.
is correct, and it will work out. You have to have your paperwork set.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we were, it was, but I was just really
Yes.
surprised.
Oh, it's very astounding.
Because she's like, oh, well, we're not offering any
Yes.
compensation.
Yes.
Send
It's astounding, actually. Are there any new listings? I see a hand here.
Yes, I have a condo coming up in about 2 weeks. They're just moving out right now. The landings are Rolling Ridge, one of my overland farms, across from Home Depot off Grand River in Genoa Township. It'll be around 3-ish. It backs up to private, and it's those are 1,400 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's a nice unit, updated stuff, very nice. And then I have the Royal Oak one. It's $750,000, really sharp. I sold it to them about 3 years ago. Now they're moving to Maine, they're only on the bed and breakfast. But it's just right, not too far from town, within walking distance. It's really, really nice. It's all new, $750,000. And their kids are moving with them, and their home is going to be coming in at $450,000. And that's one block. It's an 11-mile right behind Farmers Market in Royal Oak. So if you have anybody for Royal Oak, the kids aren't going for another 6 weeks, so that'll be about 6 weeks out. But the other one's coming up next week, 850. Theirs is $450.
Colleen, you have it first.
Colleen, go ahead. Yeah, I'll go after Colleen.
Well, if anybody has a lakefront buyer coming up, or has a lakefront buyer chomping at the bit to get on Woodland Lake,
Wonderful.
fantastic one coming up.
I've got an investor, a friend of mine, that just came into a ton of money. And he said, if I'll develop it, he'll put up any amount of money it takes to develop something, you know, if I'll do the developing. He'll compensate me for doing the developing. So I said, sure, I need the money. So if anybody runs across any kind of investment property to develop, you know, multiple, residential, anything, you know, preferably vacant land, because that's what I do. I don't know anything about vacant land to develop. Let us know, but price tag doesn't matter.
So Nick has got a condo that's going to be coming up. We've got another one coming. I don't have all the details. He just said that as I was coming downstairs. So.
Old English, I know that.
Yeah, yes, that's
Old
exactly
English.
where it's at. Yeah. So that'll be a few weeks out because it's a probate thing.
Yes.
So, but anyway, he's got that. And then my investor that I just sold the property on Magic duplex, he's got 2 more. We got one in Brighton and one in Whitmore Lake. I don't have them listed yet because the guy takes forever. He was applying. Both are duplexes, but he was mom's client. It's taken me this long. She's been gone for 5 years. So I'm patient, but I got the first one sold like in 22 hours. I said, see, I told you. I said, so now, where's the listings on the other 2? And he's like, okay. So, yeah. Like, oh my God.
What's the one in Old English, upper or lower?
Lower.
It has to be lower.
Okay.
It's a lower one with a garage, she said, so it's
Okay.
first floor, but it'll be, I don't know if he's got, if he's ready to go or if the probate's just ending or just starting with it.
I
But
think
anyway.
that they're almost there. It's almost there.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen him in 2 days, and he's
Yes.
like, when you go down.
Did Nick
I'm
get
pretty
that
sure it's
listing he
within
went
2
on
weeks.
yesterday?
Pardon?
Did Nick get that listing he went on yesterday?
I think so.
All right. He was
I think that's the one we're talking
Yes,
about.
that is.
That is the
That's
one we're
what
talking
it
about.
was.
He did
It's,
get it, yes,
Good. He was happy.
yes.
It just
He
reminded
just
me
resold
of
it.
the beautiful 1.5 story listing on Pleasant Hill. It's 10-acre parcel. It could be perfect for an arena. It's close to Curdy Road and it's so pretty. It's like about 3,000 square feet, 1.1 million, and it's builder's house quality. It's just awesome. Really, really cool.
When you say perfect for an arena, you mean horses?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful piece of
Pardon,
property.
the arena's not there.
No, it's not there, but it's a perfect spot. They were possibly going to.
Didn't you got an offer on the horse farm on Curdy too,
Yes,
didn't you? So
yes.
that one's done.
Congratulations.
That didn't happen to
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pending.
Yeah.
On that note, like Joe would say, go get a listing.
Yeah.
Have a good day.